Coming at you from the frozen tundra that is East Central Alberta, Canada, streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, Float, Odyssey, Telegram, Twitch, TikTok, and the Prepper Broadcast Network. Welcome back to the workshop where we create community, find freedom, promote preparedness, and share success. I am Toolman Tim, and today is November the 12th, 2022, and this is episode 202 of the Workshop Podcast. So how is everyone this evening? First off, I got to say we are live over on TikTok. We got a Hina in there, a swimfish. We got 10 people in there right now, so it's good to have you. Good to have everyone here as well. My voice is significantly improved. Probably still be a bit of a fight tonight, but that's okay. Chris Kidd just come in to tell me that DeWalt blows, so I hope everybody appreciates that. Thank you, Chris. So let's get the announcements out of the way, and then we are going to have a kind of a laid-back Saturday evening episode. I got a bunch of feedback from you guys, some questions sent to me. We'll answer those. And then the newly christened segment titled Stranger Than Fiction. Letty just come up with that before we started tonight. We're going to discuss 3 or 4 news articles this week. Hey, we got Mr. Bearded Homesteader in here. Good to have you. Hey, Hunter, Yozik over on Telegram. Let's bring up Telegram as well. We've been having some troubles on Telegram, so I didn't even start the stream over there tonight, guys. I appreciate everybody's patience, technology. Hey, Mike from Snail Creek, good to have you. Okay, first off, Patch of the Month Club, guys. It is my favorite thing to talk about. My content will always be free. It'll always be there for you guys. And if you feel like you get a little value from it and you're looking for a way to support the workshop, patchofthemonth.co is the way to go. Go by there. $10 a month, $100 a year, and you get a really cool Velcro patch every single month. Plus, you get added to a super secret email list for first, how do you want to put it? So you get first access to any new swag that comes out, and there's going to be some discounts, exclusives, all that kind of stuff. So on top of that, I had someone, I don't want to tell who yet because I don't want to ruin the surprise, but they reached out to me and want to send something out in the Patch of the Month. So if you guys are interested in sending out patches or stickers, something like that, that would be a giveaway to go in the patch that would also act as advertising promotion for you, get in contact with me. I would love to. Hey, Porterhouse over on TikTok, just got your email, buddy. I'm going to get back to you after tonight. Man, there's so many good people around this evening, guys. Always good to have you. So, hey, what do we got? Haas. Hey, Haas. Number 2, the Telegram group. Hey, so if you guys are, or gals, or whomever you happen to be out there, you want a way to interact with us the best, you want to be able to ask questions up front, you want to get your questions answered, you want to share what you know, or find out what you don't know, because we'll tell you that too. Come by and join the Telegram group. By far, the best place. It is the center of the workshop hub. So come by, join it. Links in the description as well. And I mentioned, Hunter says I sound stuffy. I do have some Knob Creek here to clear that up. Significantly better than it was Thursday evening. Tonight it is just straight up Knob Creek bourbon. That's the drink of this evening. I'm almost out. I'm kind of sad because it has become my drink of choice. I'm really enjoying that quite a bit. But it works. It helps for sure. Podcast going forward is going to be 4 days a week. Now, here's the thing. I'm not going to be doing 4 live streams. We'll be doing the same 3 Thursday, Saturday, Sunday lives. And Friday is going to be a pre-recorded episode, something that I record, either an interview that I do an extra during the week or my ramblings from the road. So when I'm out driving, I love to, I hate to waste that time. So it's either audiobooks, podcasts, or recording some cool content for you guys. So I hope you enjoy it. That'll be coming out Friday. So now in your podcast feed, we'll be filling Thursday through Sunday all week, every week. What are you saying, Tim? Anyway, hey, we got a good crowd in here already. And so today's tool, and there's going to be a question later on about this as well that I answer. But so Haas is asking if I did not go to Jack's, and I ended up not going. I made some announcements about it. It was one of those mixed blessings. I hated to back out, but we ended up picking up basically 3 huge snow customers that came out of nowhere that basically doubled my 5-month income for snow. I couldn't turn it down, and I couldn't leave it for just my wife and my son to take care of. I needed to be here to baby those new customers to make sure they got off the ground. And it's a good thing I did, because we've had something like 18 inches of snow since I've been gone. So, hey, David, and I missed you too, buddy. It's good to see you. I really, really wanted to sit down and have a chat with you. I missed that a lot. So, but we will. I will make it up to everybody. I will get to Dallas at some point, or just outside of Dallas. But it's good to have you guys. And yes, Hunter, we will meet up soon. So today's tool is the Pet Safe Extreme Weather Pet Door. It's actually on sale, half price, $54.95 for the medium right now. I'll throw that link in the description. I just had to install one. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But if you're looking for, I know not everybody lives where the cold will kill your face, but if you're looking for a non-drafty pet door, this is the one. But we'll talk about it a little bit down the road. So how has everybody's week been? It's been good here. We've been busy. We got a little unexpected snow today, and more than we expect, but not an inch, but a half an inch of snow. So just enough that we'll have to go out and blow it in the morning. Not too bad. StreamYard has updated. Hey, Pipin, how are you? StreamYard's updated. So I now have this, it's like a recording tab on the side. It gives me a red light if it's recording. It's kind of distracting because it looks like I always have a message that I'm missing. So I'm going to, anyway, it is what it is. So if you see me looking over this way, I shouldn't have just said that, because now you'll be fucking paying attention to me all night, right? But Haas says, good here. Got some rain and snow, about an inch. Aaron said we got snow on the vehicles outside first of the year. I've actually had my roof rake out already and had to clean the snow off of my covered deck just to make sure, because there was 16, 18 inches up there. Know Your Joe says down to 33 Fahrenheit last night, dropping to 31 tonight. Yep. Winter is here, folks. Maybe not everywhere, but it's here for sure. And Haas is from California. It is what it is. Okay, so first off, guys, we're going to slide through some cool questions that I got sent. If you have questions, send them to me. Throw them in the comments. I will star them. We'll save them for as we go along. And, Nate's here, and Aaron will be in shortly. Good to have you, Nate. Always appreciate you. You guys need to, no, you don't need to do anything. But if you're interested in ham radio and you want to support a good member of the community, Nate has been doing some pretty cool live streams where he goes online. I'm going to use the wrong terminology here, but he basically tunes in his ham radio and does a live stream where he talks about what he hears and that kind of stuff. So if you're into ham or you want to learn from ham, check out the Two Chicks Homestead YouTube channel. Excuse me, guys. All right. So the first question I got sent this morning. Hey, Rachel, good to have you. This one came from my brother, Chris Dixon. We always appreciate him, but he sent me a question this morning just asking me, what size power bank do I prefer? Because there was one for a really good deal. It was like $8, but it wasn't really big. It's like 8,000 milliamps or something. I probably have the numbers wrong there, but the question was, what size power bank do you prefer? What do I have here? If I can show you guys one, this one, this right here is an Anchor. This is a 20,000 milliamp power bank. Now for me, that is the sweet spot. Anything bigger, it's heavy, it's bulky. Anything smaller, and it's no good for nothing with these modern phones. That's the big problem with that. Back when it was like the iPhone 5, iPhone 6, you could get away with a 10,000 milliamp because you could get a couple of charges out of those. But with the new battery banks and the new batteries in the newer phones, if I'm going away even for a night in a hotel, I need at least a 20,000. I usually take 2 or 3 of them with me just so I have them. Hey, Aaron Henderson, good to have you from South Carolina. Nice. I miss South Carolina by that much in September when I was at prepper camp. So yeah, for me, the sweet spot for size, weight, and cost and capacity is definitely 20,000 milliamps. They seem to be kind of that sweet spot. Anything smaller, and honestly, they're not much better than a backup for a backup. And of course, if you guys can see, I don't know if we can see the brand name. There we are. Anchor. They are by far, in my mind, the best kind of aftermarket battery packs you can get. They make them well. They're durable. Oh, yes, Aaron, right on. Nice to have you. We did meet at prepper camp. Right on. Good to have you. And, okay, so from there, yeah, so that if that helps. If you guys have a recommendation for battery packs that you enjoy, throw them to me. I'm always looking to test out new ones. I was trying to find another one I had here tonight, but I have one that's an all enclosed one. Hey, Aaron says, or Nate says, we have 28,610s. I keep the 10s in the ham radio kit and the big boy goes camping. Yes, got to have power. It can never be big enough, right? We'll leave that alone. Where is Renegade Butcher when we need him? All right, so the next one was an email from Tag. If you guys know Tag, I've reached out to him. He's going to be coming on the show sometime soon. But he messaged me just recently, and he said, hey, Tim, do you get any experience with the Milwaukee cordless chainsaws? I've been looking at buying one. So cordless chainsaws. That used to be one of those things that you'd think was a joke, right? If it wasn't gas, it was no good for nothing. Well, I got to tell you, times have changed. Now, you guys know I don't have a whole lot of experience with Milwaukee tools, but that's okay. I do have a lot of experience with Taylor over on TikTok says I look like Jason Nash. I'm not sure who Jason Nash is. If anybody else knows who he is, he must be one handsome dude. That's all I can say. So yeah, Milwaukee, I don't have any experience with, but cordless chainsaws I love. They have their place. Absolutely. Hunter says my Ryobi 8 isn't bad, but it isn't great. My 8-inch one. Yeah, so they're small. They have their place. A buddy of mine, Idaho Prepper from the TSP Zello group, he has some Milwaukees, if I remember correctly, or maybe it was, anyway, it doesn't matter. And he said, for the most part, he ends up grabbing his battery all the time. Now, here's the thing. There's a few things about battery, right? Now, if you are going to be cutting 6, 8, 10 cord of wood a year, you need a gas-powered chainsaw. If you heat your house with wood, you need a gas-powered chainsaw. However, that doesn't mean you don't also need a battery-powered chainsaw. I've got the 16-inch DeWalt FlexVolt, and it's nice. The thing about the battery is, though, they're high speed but low torque. So they don't have the power to power through things like gas-powered chainsaws do, for the most part. But they're really, really good at getting through, you know, those 4 to 6 to 8-inch limbs. They work great for that kind of, like, unbelievable for that kind of stuff. And what's great about them, you have no carb to get clogged up with old, nasty, skunky gas. They're great. They'll start, you can let them sit for 6 years, throw a fresh battery on that sucker, and the thing will run, boom, just like that. Now, where they don't succeed is in the big shit, that 12 to 18-inch variety of limbs, not limbs, tree trunks. I had one across town this year that I thought, I'll just go over and pick at it. I couldn't get 2 cuts through it on a battery. They bog down when they go that deep. That's the big problem that I ran into. So, but yes, battery, they're great. They're portable. They're awesome for like a grid down scenario. If you have a bad power outage, say a hurricane came through and you need to grab and go throw a chainsaw in the back seat of your car because you got no gas to spill. Remember, you probably still have chain oil, so you don't want to spill that on the wife's seats, but they're just awesome. And man, they are a great supplement to any homestead, to anybody who cuts wood. Now, if you're like me and you don't do a ton of wood cutting anymore, then battery's all you need. Now, but if you're, like I said, cutting 6, 8, 10 cord of wood a year for your wood stove, then yeah, you're going to need gas too. But for the most part, any good brand, Ridgit, Milwaukee, Makita, DeWalt, Ryobi, even the bigger ones, if you go with the bigger chainsaws, you're not going to be disappointed. And then I've got the DeWalt cordless pole saw. That sucker is friggin' incredible. That is a workhorse, absolutely. Oh, we got Hunter over on TikTok as well. Good to have you. So what do we got here? Mr. Bearded Homestead said they have the 16-inch DeWalt and a 6 amp hour will run all afternoon. Yeah, they're great. Love them. Yes, so Hunter wants to know, do you need to oil the bar? Yeah, you do. They have, the biggest issue I've had with the DeWalt ones is the damn oil leaks a lot. They just don't have a really good setup for figuring out how to keep the oil in there. It's just basically kind of an automatic oiler. And so they do tend to leak a bit. So leave them sitting up, or they also have this weird plastic flange around the cap on the oil filler, and that tends to tear really easily. So that's an ongoing issue. Haas says, what about the Harbor Freight chainsaws? I haven't gotten to that one yet. I will pick one of those up on my next trip down. I did buy one of those handheld battery-powered hedge trimmers. So, you know, you got the long ones. This is like a short one. Kind of looks like something that you can, Aaron says it really does leak like crazy. Yeah, they're a bastard. I hate to say it, but they really are. So all I've got in the Harbor Freight right now is one of those short hedge trimmers. I think it's like an 8-inch one. I'm quite excited because it looks like I could do like Edward Scissorhands trimming with it and that kind of stuff. But yeah, we're going to try it out. But I'll definitely pick up a Bauer chainsaw one of these days. Well, I can only get them when I go to the States, right? All right. Hey, we got a good little crowd over on TikTok as well. All right. Next, this was a cool email I got from Andrew Browning, another great member of the workshop community. And he had like 3 parts to the email, so we'll break it down, but it was really cool. Now, if you guys go into garages, go pull into a garage sometime to get your vehicle worked on. And when the bay door comes down, turn around behind you, and you're probably going to see like a port in the door. And it's either going to have like a slide over cover or like fingers that you push something through. And it's an exhaust port. So what they can do is if they need to run the vehicle inside, they never used to do this, but if they can, they put a pipe on your exhaust pipe and then they run it out through the garage door. And it's great. So you can leave the doors closed in the wintertime, heat it, and then run it out through. So he asked, hey, do you think you could use one of those ports in a shed to vent for your generator while running it in your garage or something like that? And to be honest, I'd never thought about it before. I would still, you know, both my generators have a, a carbon monoxide shutoff. So if the carbon monoxide gets too high, it shuts off anyway. But yeah, I really, really think you could. I'd want to have a nice tight fit on that exhaust. But yeah, I think that would be great. I love those ports. They work good. And it's something I see all the time here and never once thought about making it work. He said, while working on a garage door at a local tire shop, I noticed a vent hole in the door. When I asked the tire guy about it, he said it's so they could work in the winter. He said they're about $50 or $60 on Amazon and the hose is $20 to $30. I think that's great. And Hunter says I'll work on the ducting. Yeah, I think it's great. It's so damn simple. So yeah, it was a really cool suggestion. He framed it like a question, but really he was coming at it with, he already had the information. I thought it was awesome. And Hunter says, it's what I do. I support and grind. Now, the next one, there's a question here. No, you're Joe. I'll get back to your question in a minute there, Joe. So the next one, Aaron said, I feel silly for asking this. Now, it's okay to feel silly about things, but you don't have to worry about it. I will answer every question. If it's an honest, earnest question that you don't know the answer to, we have all come to the handyman, the homesteading, the prepping journey. We've all come to it from our own areas. Every one of us starts from zero knowledge at birth and we work our way up. So just because you don't know anything, don't ever be embarrassed about asking a question, okay? So we get that out of the way. Now here's the question. He said, when setting your garden on a timer for automatic watering, if you keep the spigot under pressure and on, and I can hear the water kind of charged in the lines, will I be charged for that water? I'm asking because the price of water in our area rose a decent amount recently. So that's not a dumb question at all. Now, think of it this way. If you have water in your pipes at home, you're not charged for that water until you open your tap. Now, when the water gets turned on to your house, all of your taps get filled up. So once they're full, yeah, you're charged up till that point. They're in there. And then you don't get charged for that water until you use it. So you open a tap, it goes down the drain, you get charged for that. When you have a, hey, 30-day review, good to have you again. Justin's great to have you. And yeah, so you don't get charged for that water at all until you open a faucet or you're actually using the water. Now, if you can hear something in there, it's probably just the pressure up against the timer or the irrigation or whatever it is. Now, there's always a 10% chance that maybe you have a small leak somewhere. And if you do, well, yeah, you're going to get charged for that. But no, just so you know, if your lines are charged up and full of water, you won't get charged until you use it. Not a dumb question at all. How do you know unless you ask, right? And then he shared a cool travel tip I wanted to share with you guys. He says, when I travel for work and I'm in areas where I don't want to wait an hour or two to do laundry, I carry powdered detergent in a small Ziploc bag. And then I rebag that in a larger Ziploc bag. And then no matter where I am, I can wash my socks, drawers, and shirts in a sink. And I love that tip. I used to do that shit all the time in the oil patch because we'd get caught out of town. And sometimes I'd remember, but I'd be in my work truck. And if I didn't know we were spending the night, I wasn't the most prepared dude in the world. So I would wash my underwear and socks in the sink in the hotel room. And then I would dry them, either wring them out, hang dry them, or use the blow dryer to dry them. So we make it work with whatever we have. But I love that. And whenever I travel now, Becky takes and fills a 500 milliliter water bottle with laundry soap and puts some dryer sheets in a bag because this old man has to have his own laundry soap, because if you don't, sometimes you're going to have a bad day. Nate says, if you could find an adapter, it would work great. Talking about the exhaust port. Main issue is the exhaust ports are flush with the muffler. Good point. Yes. So 30 days says technically you get charged as soon as it enters your home, but chances are you're going to use it. If the water line's burst and doesn't get on a drain, you're still paying for it. Yes. Yeah. So like I said, once that water comes from the town and charges up your lines, yes, you get charged for that first bit. But once it's a static system and you're not using anything from that point on, you won't be charged until you open and use it. So if you've got that, your whole irrigation line or whatever water it takes to fill the irrigation, yeah, you'll get charged for that. But then from that point on, until something's opened and used, you'll be fine. So we've got, let's go back. Know Your Joe says, what size would you recommend if you're getting only one? Chainsaw, right? Well, it depends. I would say, in that 12 to 16 inch range. Chicken Hawk has the 12 inch 20 volt chainsaw, and that thing is great. So if you're just doing some limbing, some landscaping, maybe the occasional small tree falls down, a 12 inch 20 volt would probably be good enough. But anything in that 12 to 16 inch range, probably 14 inch might be the sweet spot. But number one, pick something that suits your power platform. So whatever batteries you're using, go with that. And then buy as much chainsaw as you can handle that isn't too much for you. Let's put it that way. So go and test them out, pick them up with a battery on it. Remember, that's important. And then see, does this feel comfortable for me? Then yes. If you're only buying one, get as big as you can get that you can comfortably handle, because you'll never say, damn it, I wish I had less power in this battery chainsaw. I promise you'll never say that. Hunter says, I need to make more laundry soap. Right on. We used to make our homemade stuff. So we'll go on from that one, guys. And yeah, and like 30-day review says, always depends on what size trees you have to handle. If you live out in the country and you're a homesteader and you've got massive trees, you're going to want something that can cut through them. But if you're more worried about a few limbs coming down and doing some kind of in town, that kind of thing, then yeah, I would say 12, 14, 16 inch battery powered would be great for you, because you don't ever have to winterize it. You never have to worry about it, having bad gas. You don't have to worry about a clogged up carburetor, all of that stuff. Battery's wonderful for all that. So yeah, that was good stuff. I like that email quite a bit. So the next one was about the all-weather pet door. So I don't know if I shared a picture with you guys, but we took in a foster dog for a while. She's now living with my son. Her name is Daisy. She came from a father who had Alzheimer's, and he fed her 24/7. I guess he just forgot. So she was supposed to be around 7-8 pounds, and she was over 18 when we got her. So she was big enough that I had to put in a bigger doggy door. Poor thing. Just a sweetheart, but she is just, anyway, she's overweight. She's lost 1.5 pounds since we had her, which has been, about 6-8 weeks now. So she's coming around. But they wanted to know, how well does this door hold up to windy conditions, the pet door? So it's that all-weather extreme pet door from Pet Safe that I was telling you about earlier. So a few years ago, when the girls were homeschooling, we had a homeschool desk set up in the kitchen right by the back door. And I had to put in a doggy door because we were tired of opening the big door, letting the dogs out, and standing there like idiots freezing our tails off. So I started researching, and these all-weather pet doors were around $100 Canadian, but they were worth it. So your normal pet door comes with one kind of vinyl flap that they go in and they go out. It has a magnet at the bottom and it catches coming through. This one has two flaps, one on the outside, one on the inside. Magnet on the outside, magnet on the inside. If that's all it was, it would still be pretty damn good, but it has two more features yet. In between, it has about 1.5 inch layer of insulation flap as well. And at night, once the dogs go to bed, there's an all-weather cover that you put it over there that keeps all drafts out. So it is totally worth it. The girls could sit there, do their schoolwork, and they didn't get a draft from it. Now, a couple of things. That vinyl in the really, really cold weather isn't super flexible. I had that first door on there for 2 years, and when I took it off, the exterior flap, I discovered it was 3/4 torn off. Not a big deal. I got 2 full years out of it. The cool thing is every piece in there is removable, orderable, and replaceable. So if you're looking for something, it's an investment. I get it, because they're not cheap. But if you want a dog door that keeps the hot out and the cold out, or the hot in and the cold in, depending on the time of year, then this is the one to go with. Keep the door free of ice and snow, because what I find is if it builds up, then the magnet doesn't seal. But if you need to have a door, if you need to have an opening in your door for an animal, and you have shitty weather, hot or cold or whatever else, then yeah, go with that. Absolutely. One more thing. When you put on the plastic frame, when you screw it down, don't snug it ultra, ultra tight. I made that mistake with the first one. They have plastic screws and bolts. I didn't break them, but the problem was the cover wouldn't snap on. I actually put the damn frame on too tight, and I couldn't snap that cover on and stay there. So it was loose. So the stupid friggin' cat would just come in and he'd be like, "Oh, I'm a dick," and he would pull it off. So now I've got it so they can't pull it off there. It works great. Just one of those things. This was from over on Float. D-Bosk was his name. He picked up a new pressure washer, and the manual was in Spanish. Couldn't figure out what one of the parts was for. So it looked like a key. It was round and then long, and it looked like it was metal fish line. I did a bunch of digging, and I couldn't figure out exactly what it was, but I think it's a nozzle cleaner. So if anybody else has any suggestions, it's about 4 inches long, and it's a circle like a key ring with a long point on it. I believe it might be for cleaning out the nozzles, but I don't know for sure. So if anybody else has run into that, let me know. 30 Day wants to know if I've tried. I have not. If anybody else has tried those RFID doggy doors, I'd be interested. That would be right up Chicken Hawk's alley. So if you're listening to this Hawk on the recording, I bet you he loves all this automated stuff. So another good dude in the community if you want to check somebody out, for sure. And Know Your Joe, he said, I'd stay away from 12-inch. You'd be surprised how much 2 inches actually matters just for trimming and limbing. I'm going to say that's what she said, but we'll leave it alone. Jaggy, my brother from another mother across the pond, says, sounded a bit hoarse. Yeah, I'm a little hoarse, although I think I'm a big horse too. But anyway, suggestion. I've been doing those videos on hotel locks. I really enjoy them. The travel locks. I've had really good interaction over on TikTok for them. But something I'd never, ever thought of before, this guy named Nick messaged me and he goes, "Hey, just wondering, have you ever thought about egress?" And egress is getting out of a room really quickly, because the idea behind all these locks is security, right? You want to make sure that at least they slow down the ne'er-do-wells, the crackheads, whatever, coming through your door. But how hard are they to remove if you need to get out in a hurry? Something to think about. So now I need to go back and retest all these, because I have my suspicions that some of them won't be super quick for egress. So I just thought it's pretty cool. I enjoy, I always joke that the comments over on TikTok are a cesspool. I got a couple of good ones to share with you later, but this was a great one. I love constructive criticism, feedback, things, because you always get the best video ideas come from the community. So anyway, going to be looking forward to going back and testing some of that stuff. So next we got some comments we got a couple of good boosts from over on the podcast forums. We've got a couple of funny comments from TikTok, and I think we got 1 or 2 from YouTube here. So you hope you enjoy these, and then we'll get on to the stranger than fiction news stories. There's some good ones this week. So this one was great. I had to share this with you. It was on one of my generator review videos. Oh boy, it was funny. I thought you guys would appreciate this. I didn't even respond to it, but this was from a guy or a girl. It's Pat D. They said, "I'm sorry, but you're just too yippity and yappity. All you do is talk, like you're on stage. Such an ego, and it's so sad. Rather than show us how to do things with few words, like the old adage, less is more." Apparently, I have a huge ego, guys. I didn't realize that. I guess I'm a stage actor. I have told you in the past, a lot of my review videos, I didn't intro them properly, and I had a lot of yapping at the beginning, but this one was great. This is one of my most popular videos that people rave on and on about how much they love the reviews of the generator. But apparently for whoever this Pat was, my ego got in the way. It was sad for her or him. And in the words of Kevin from The Office, why use many words when few words do, right? Anyway, I thought you guys would appreciate that one. This one came from Only One Big Cat. This was on TikTok. Oh, boy. And it was a good one. I hope you guys appreciate it. They said, now, I normally say ignore trolls, but I poked the bear a little bit on this one. Your batteries are too clean. Definitely no real work being done here. Hey, there you go. They got me. They figured me out in a 60-second TikTok. They saw my videos on a tiny little screen from 6 feet away. They're too clean. I must not do anything. So I responded with, "Thanks for your quality feedback, guy. I look forward to your video showing me how real work should be done." Sorry, I couldn't resist it, right? Yeah. And so I don't, I like to have fun with these. I don't worry about them anymore. Thank God. I used to, but we have fun poking fun at some of the trolls once in a while. Sorry, guys. And Letty says, "You must be Irish, Tim. Why use 3 words when 31 will do better?" Yeah, Scottish, Irish, all of them, right? Mike over on TikTok says, "Well, see, the problem is you're using DeWalt." And I said that was low and uncalled for. I thought that was pretty friggin' dirty, to be honest. But I had to enjoy that one. And this one, I was really hoping Chicken Hawk would be out here. So this one came from from one of the Travelock videos, a guy named Drake. And he said, it's definitely not heavy duty. It was the Travelock I was able to bend in half, but he said it's definitely military grade. And I'm not military, of course, obviously, but a lot of my community members are. And they said, they've always said that military grade does not mean what you think it does. So I really appreciated that. Two Chicks Homestead, you are correct. What would be, yeah, let's see. Let's go back here while we're talking. Okay. So It's Pat really did not enjoy my, whatever you want to call it, my yippity, my yappity, and my ego. So here's the thing. If somebody's out there on the fence wanting to sign up for the Patch of the Month Club, in honor of It's Pat, I will give you, let's see, $10 off on a yearly subscription. You got to email me within 48 hours, and I'll give you a year subscription for $90. Just make sure you put It's Pat in the subject line. TheRealTimCook@gmail.com. So you got 2 full days. If you put It's Pat in the subject line of the email, I'll give you $10 off on a full year subscription of Patch of the Month Club. How's that sound? Yippity Yappity is a good name for the podcast. So there you go. Hopefully we can make some money off of It's Pat. And I don't know if you guys remember It's Pat, but it was a gender neutral person off of Saturday Night Live back in the day. So there we are. This one was a good one. I got 2 boostograms this week that really hit me in the feels, and I appreciate them. First one came from Smart Growth. I'm a little behind, but I love this episode. The only thing that helped me get out of the poverty trap was a divorce. A whole shitload of strategic planning. Turns out when you're not attached to somebody who spends $1,000 a month more than you make, you really can do well. I like hearing that. I'm glad. I hate to hear that, things didn't work out, but whatever it is, if that is the best if something good came out of a bad scenario, thank you for taking the time to share that. Loved it. The next one came from RDG3. This was from the episode I did with Andy, The Future of Tech. I Need to Wear Shades. 1990s F-150. My uncle would always keep 4 quarts of oil in a small toolbox in the engine compartment. Keep up the good work, Tim. Yeah. So I believe that was the discussion we had about my old Ram. So my brother-in-law, Barrett, he's my mechanic. There he is. Barrett says, so you're not supposed to take care of your tools that pay your wage? Yeah, you're right. I missed that earlier, brother. So he does the work. He just finished working on my old Ram. And I said, you could put a body in the under the hood in the old one, and the new one you couldn't put a gerbil. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, he said his uncle would keep 4 quarts of oil and a small toolbox in the engine compartment. Those old vehicles, boy, they had room. Next, this was cool. And Mr. Bearded Homestead says, loved Pat on Saturday Night Live. Yeah, always funny. The 90s, they were the heyday for Saturday Night Live. And of course, Celebrity Jeopardy. Oh, that's a whole nother story. Love that. So Joel on MeWe sent me, I guess it was more of a brag post in a good sense. So number one came by and said, he wanted to let me know that he heard me mention in passing that I picked up those new headlamps from Costco, the Duracell ones. I hadn't even tested them yet. It wasn't, I wasn't, telling you to go buy them, but he was pretty excited about trying them. He picked them up, said he loved them. He was going out for, see if I can find them here. He was going out tuna fishing and he needed some headlamps. Said it worked great. And I said, please report back to me afterwards. And he sent me a picture of him holding a 45-pound tuna fish. Pretty friggin' cool. So I wanted to give Joel a shout out for having a successful fishing trip and testing out a product and getting back to me and letting me know, man. I was absolutely excited. Jaggy, before I forget as well, brother, I got your message. I went to respond. I saw a squirrel. I didn't, but I will. I'm getting back to you, brother. Yeah, sorry about that. All right. So we are on a regular basis, probably once, I don't know, whenever I have enough oddball news stories saved up, we're going to do a segment called, I guess we've settled on Stranger Than Fiction. Toolman Tim reads the news. Now, couple of things. If you guys, I believe I've already played the episode where I talked about how I'm never going to fearmonger. Politics really has almost no play in this podcast, in this community, because fuck them. I don't need to worry about politicians. They do their own thing. They don't affect me. Worrying about politics does nothing for me. It used to do a lot, so I give up on it. Joe says that's a baby. Talk to me at 500 pounds. Oh, this thing looked friggin' huge in the picture, but yeah, I was still proud of it. So, hey, we got 20 people in here. Good to have everybody. So anyway, we're going to do Stranger Than Fiction. We're going to do some news stories as we come into them, as we find the stories that I think will work for us. They're going to be prepping related. They're going to be freedom related, or we're going to learn some kind of lesson from them, or they're just going to be fucking oddball stuff, right? So anyway, here we go. I got 4 or 5. We'll see if we get through them all at on. He says, Toolman Tim, need to turn on one of the title headers into the segment name. Need to turn one of the title headers into segment name. Oh yeah. Well, everything's work, right? Everything's work. I'll put out the content. I'll worry about getting some of this. I will, maybe this winter. We'll see. So the first story here, guys, we are going to, give me a minute here, bring this up. All right. We're going to do the screen share. We're going to get real creative like we did last time. We're going to kick that one off right here. And Jaggy Thistle, before we go any further, you are right. He says, worrying about politics only gives you heartburn. Yeah, it does. So this first article, guys, I came across, this one was shared to me over on the Signal Group, Prepper Broadcast Network. Let's see if we can bring it up here. Hang on. Deputies say they discovered underground bunker filled with guns, drugs at an RV facility. So this was crazy, guys. I had to share this. If anybody else has heard this story or you have any feedback on it, let me know. So they discovered him. So they discovered this bunker because these guys were stealing power from an RV storage facility. Here's the crazy friggin' part of it. I'm going to scroll down a little bit. So this was part of the bunker. And Here we are. Okay. So there was, excuse me, 3 storage containers buried underground. It was a 3-story bunker. They had a scissor lift elevator. It had been down there for a decade. They found $700,000 in gold and silver, $250,000 in cash. They found meth, coke, pills, shrooms. They found guns. I don't know what all was going on there, but whatever. Just an odd story. It was there for 10 years next to this RV storage place. They were stealing power. The people, you hate to judge, but don't they kind of, crackheads, meth heads? I don't know. But either way, I want to know who built this damn shelter. 10 years, storage containers, which aren't supposed to be buried underground without reinforcement. So hopefully they did reinforce it. But the damn thing lasted 10 years. They got this corrugated pipe with ladders built into it. They had elevators with scissor lifts. I don't know. Justin, I'm going to star that so I don't forget, because when I get going, I sometimes don't always think of remembering some of this stuff. So thank you for that suggestion. This was crazy. I just thought it was neat. They really didn't know if they were survivalists, junkies. I mean, that's way above your average junkie for living underground for 10 years, coming and going. I think it was just an underground drug compound. Now, this was in Arizona, so it's really, really dry there. So maybe that's why they got away with it. But I mean, the walls, I want to see a tour of this compound. That's just me. I can't tell, but it looks like that is painted plywood. You really can't see it, but it looks like painted plywood on the walls there. And then on this side, it looks like garage doors. Then they have up here like corrugated sheet metal on the roof. Yes, never underestimate the ingenuity of a crackhead. You are correct. 30 Day says you would be surprised how smart crackheads can be. I recently cleaned up a crackhead place where they had the power shut off on them. So they brought a generator indoors in a condo in an apartment building and wired it directly into the panel. Oh boy. I had other ones where they have gone down and they've driven a socket on top of the water shut off so that if the town shut it off, they could just turn it back on. Oh man, it's crazy. Yeah, this is definitely insulated. Yeah, it's really neat. Like, I don't know. Hey, Renegade Butcher, good to have you. Let's see. Turbo Conquering Mega Eagle is building an underground bunker in England. Check it out. I will, Joe. I'm going to save that for later. I love underground bunkers. So I've looked at, unofficially, burying a sea can or a storage container in the ground, but I've seen horror stories. I've seen videos of roofs collapsing, walls coming in. You need to weld reinforced structures because if you guys don't know this about storage containers, they're really, really strong on the points. They have a beautiful frame around them, but the walls and the ceiling are just like 1/8-inch corrugated steel. So don't just bury one and expect it to last. So whoever did this knew what they were doing. I mean, look, they've got a rocking chair, statues, beautiful wall hangings, a microwave. I don't know, just a rather interesting concept. So I thought you guys would like to see that. If anybody finds any more information about it, they basically found them because there was too much power being used in the area. And so it took them a year to track this down. Yeah, Joe, you're right. It's probably not even 1/8 inch. I know when I walk on the ceiling of the roof of mine. Whew. And Hunter says they don't think about the center. Yes. So storage containers are cool. But if you ever want to bury one, do not bury them without doing some serious reinforcing around the sides. I seen a video. A husband and a wife buried one underground for storage. They came back the next day and the whole roof had basically collapsed by about 1 foot. They'd put a bunch of dirt on top. Yeah, it just not good at all. Hey, Jake from Ravenwood Acres, good to have you. Jaggy says apparently American school buses make good bunkers. There's a guy who passed away recently that had a whole underground compound that he made out of old school buses. And it was down there for 20 or 30 years. If anybody knows who that was, it was pretty interesting. So yeah, if that wasn't stranger than fiction, I don't know what is. But here's the next one, guys. Let's bring this one up. Canada-wide shortage on amoxicillin. So if you guys I don't know if this is a thing in the States or not, but I always like to try to get to the bottom of these stories. Here's the thing. There's been kind of a 1-2 punch up here in Canada for this amoxicillin shortage. It sucks. It's not good, but it's not the end of the world. It's not like they're out of amoxicillin. They're just having a hell of a time with supplying the powdered stuff for suspension. So if you guys remember when you're a kid drinking, liquid antibiotics and you always had to shake them, Hunter says fish mox. Well, we're going to talk about a couple of things here. First off, I got that package of antibiotics from, if anybody can remember the name of that right now, they're going to shoot me because they sent it to me. But the little package anyway, the Jace case, thank you. I have a Jace case at home, so those are good to have. But number one, as a prepper, we should try to have some antibiotics on hand, figure out a way to do it. If you have a doctor who is open to the idea, talk to them about keeping some on hand. But there's some other things. So this is not a shortage of amoxicillin in general. It's just the very specific powdered stuff that goes into the suspended liquid for kids under the age of 2, up till the age of 12. Thanks, Hunter, over on TikTok as well. So when you get if you're a parent and you get a prescription for a kid, go to the pharmacy. Now, in Alberta and Ontario, if you show up and they don't have it, they can substitute. They can give you a different type of antibiotic. They can give you the pill if your kid can swallow a pill. There's always alternatives. Look around. Here's another thing that people don't always think about. Look for a compounding pharmacy. So compounding pharmacies get drugs in bulk. They get basically the building blocks of drugs. They're able to formulate different types of antibiotics and drugs on site. So look for compounding pharmacies. Sometimes they'll have stuff that other places won't. But I started digging, and yes, it is a shortage right from the manufacturers that our country deal with. They expect to have more in stock for January 2023, but it's just one of those things to be aware of. We also have a big shortage in Canada on children's Tylenol, and it's been a 1-2 punch. So number one was there is a shortage on the supply side, but the more specific issue has been we've had a huge influx in respiratory virus, RSV or whatever. So it started early this year. The shelves didn't get filled up. People panicked and they took a whole bunch really quick. So they cleaned the shelves. It was a 1-2 punch. You just got to keep an eye on that kind of stuff. Keep over-the-counter medications on hand. Hunter, have a good night, buddy. It's good to have you. Letty says she's heard whispers about the shortage here. I'm never taking it again after a horrible side effect at the end of my pregnancy. Totally get it. I've been taking antibiotics for 2 days now, and they've helped immensely for me. So just one of those things, guys. If you don't have any on hand and there's a shortage now, well, look for some other options. Look for a compounding pharmacy. Look and see, can they take a solid pill? If they're over 2, can they swallow it? Or is there an alternative antibiotic that they can take? There's always solutions. We just have to work together, share information so that people know. And then, hey, if you find a place that has stuff, share it with your prepper groups or your survival groups, your friends, so that they know, hey, these are places that we can go to get this stuff. And then, of course, once we get past these shortages, work to have a supply on hand, whichever way you can do it. There is fish mox and that kind of stuff in the U.S. Can't get it in Canada anymore. But these Jace cases, and there's a new one that Nat, the preparedness guy, talked about the other day. Haas says we can still get it at the feed store. In Alberta now, you need, anyway, we can talk about that. Yeah, it's not super easy right now for some things. But yeah, so just always have a plan in place, always have a secondary plan, and then learn. The only time it's dumb is if you don't learn from a shortage. So if a shortage comes through and then afterwards you don't figure out a way to stock up, well, then maybe we made a mistake. But if you make it through a shortage, figure out, okay, what can I do? And like I said, compounding pharmacy, take an adult dose, but a smaller amount, or an alternative pill, right? Oh, hey, there we go. Chuck. I love having Chuck in here. He says, get a broad spectrum antibiotic to cover most problems. May not exactly target the specific bacteria, but will kill it. Just may take longer. So I have talked to people before who have said they've called their doctor and said, hey, I'm going to Mexico, I'm going to Brazil, I'm going somewhere to a resort. I'd like to have antibiotics on hand just in case. Most doctors are okay with it. And if you talk to a sensible doctor and say, listen, I am not looking to abuse this. I just really, with all the shortages, I would feel really good to have a 30-day supply on hand. You know what? Flip of a coin. If you have, here's the other thing. This is why we develop relationships with everyone, doctors, pharmacists, because they're the ones that can say yes or no. So if you have a good relationship with your doctor, talk to them and say, hey, I'd like to have some antibiotics on hand. Can you make this work for me? The worst they're going to say is no. Jaggy says, getting prescription for much, but you can order from India. Yeah, you're right, as they can make much of the generic meds and often get through customs not too bad. I may or may not have done that in the past. And yeah, you just need to be careful with some of that stuff. That's all. So yeah, there's always options. You know, take the most sensible option first, and then try not to get too desperate if you can help it. Here's one for you guys. I hope you appreciate this one. Let's bring this one up. Amputation hazard for Generac generators. I thought this was a bullshit article. I thought it was one of those articles that was just foolish. Nope. So I don't know if you guys can quite see it in the video here. For the audio, they have these U-shaped handles, and they have locking pins that work really well, but the locking pin doesn't always engage. So what has happened is somebody has put, you know, if you've ever heard the old saying, don't put your fingers where you wouldn't put your pecker, well, somebody put their fingers in here. It closed. Get this. I got to tell you, this is insane. These have been on the market from 2013 to 2022. There have been 37 reports of injuries, but 24 of them have been amputations. 24 people have lost a finger due to this damn generator. So if you own one of these Generacs, guys, you can contact Generac. They will give you a free spacing kit so that this is not an issue anymore. I mean, common sense would say don't put your fingers there anyway. Some people, you know, what do they say? Common sense isn't so common anymore. But yeah, so the model numbers, there's 8 different models, but they're basically GP 6500s, GP 8000s, XT 8000s, and XT 8000 EFI. They're all these Generacs from 2013 to 2022 that have these U-shaped handles. They have locking pins that if they don't engage, they can drop down. Jaggy says that's handy. Oh, dear God. They can drop down and literally snip your finger off. Wow. I didn't think I would run into this, but I ran into this story. I shouldn't laugh. I mean, I would feel pretty bad if I went to pick up a generator and lost my damn digit, but my brother-in-law says natural selection. Yep, Darwin at his best. What else can you say, guys? And this one, this is actually the final story I had this week, and it was kind of cool. Now, I'm not a news guy, don't watch the news, but again, through my back channels over in the Prepper Broadcast Network, I was informed that 60 Minutes was doing a story, a 15-minute quarter-hour segment on preparedness, prepping. And I thought, well, I don't know. Oh, boy. Anyway, I'm going to go back to Justin here right quick. He said, is there a spring in there? Yeah, so let me show you. So in here, you can't really see it. There's a spring-loaded locking pin that once it latches, if you don't kind of move the handle up and down a bit and it doesn't snap right into place, it can feel like it's holding, but it doesn't. And then when you go to move it, it can drop down on you. So there's a new spacer that supposedly eliminates that issue. But anyway, whole nother story. So Dave Jones mentioned last Sunday. If you haven't seen it, let's bring this up here. This link, I'll share this in the comments for you too. But there was a 15-minute video in 60 minutes, so quarter hour segment that they did all about prepping. And it was kind of interesting. I better close that if you guys can hear that. Sorry, I don't want that noise to play. So anyway, let me bring me back up here. So they did, I got to say, it was a fairly fair segment. It was nothing like the early 2000s, doomsday preppers kind of bullshit where they were trying to scare everybody. This was let's talk to some relatively sensible people about their concerns. This was in a post-COVID world. They were talking to people. They were open about it. It was very fair, very well to do. 60 minutes will only do what prepping the government says to do. I'm guessing, which, as we know, it's only 36 hours. So here's the thing. It was cool. They interviewed 4 people from the prepping world, 3 of whom I thought were pretty sensible. The 4th one was what they were. Let's talk about it just a little bit. But the first one was a retired professor living in the California mountains, talking about his bug out plan, his off-road EMP kind of, he never mentioned EMPs, just a grid down vehicle. They were very sensible. They didn't play up the hysteria. It wasn't any of those look at the camera and wink, as in this guy's an idiot. It was a very earnest interview. I really, really appreciated it. I mean, whatever. They could have went any way they wanted, but they've realized that preparedness has been a trend post-COVID. People are nervous about whatever happens to be going on in the world, and they want answers or they want solutions. And it was about as fair as I could imagine from a mainstream news source. So if you got 15 minutes and you want to watch it, it's definitely worth watching for sure. Jaggy says, did they find a person with a few hampers short of a picnic, or was it the rare occasion of a decent job? I felt like it was fair. A couple of people over on PBN said they thought that they focused too much on the high-end things. I didn't feel that way. But so 4 people. First was a retired college professor, had a great off-road vehicle, practices bugging in, bugging out, talked about how him and his partner recently had to bug out because of a wildfire that came through. It was a really cool story. And he talked about the things that they screwed up on. Their documentation was all over the place. They talked about taking their pets with them. It was really cool. It was a down-to-earth kind of, hey, guess what? This is what happened. We needed to go. This is what we did right. This is what we did wrong. And we learned from it. That was a good one. The second one, the lady was a little eccentric, but she was like the type of lady I would have met at prepper camp, an awesome lady. She was an elderly lady from Tennessee who, we have a sex bot in here tonight, guys. This was an elderly lady in Tennessee who loved to can. And she talked about how she would hold up food and how she had, let's see if we can block this person here. Block user. Gone. There we go. So she talked about loving to can, about how she had food at a separate location, how she was concerned about how the world was falling apart. There was no fear mongering. She was just kind of a sensible old lady who wasn't in very good shape. Let's put it that way. And just talked about her concerns. She's very, very typical prepper, I thought. Now, the next one, I wish I could remember the guy's name, but he was a content creator. He did reviews, and he wrote an ongoing newsletter. The guy was very, very sensible. Talked a little bit about climate change, so whatever you want to say about that. But he was very much a common sense prepper, I thought. So that was 3 for 3. And the 4th one was a guy who bought not 1, but 2 underground missile silos. So, of course, they always have to have that catch one, right? But this guy was a land developer. So he basically bought these as underground bunkers for the ultra rich. He went in, give him an interview. They had their own private police force, this kind of stuff. It was pretty interesting. But again, back to COVID, he said at the beginning of COVID, every single family showed up and stayed there for a couple of months. And he said it was great. Hey, Kentucky, good to have you. So it was for the ultra rich, cost millions of dollars to own a property in there. He leased or sold all the properties up front, and so bought a second missile silo and turned it into that. Yeah, 30 Days says he buys them, turns around, and makes billions. Absolutely he does. So, of course, that was, always had to have the American dream in there too, right? But I had to say overall, I mean, I don't think you're going to maybe find too many converts from a 60 Minutes episode, but I thought it was fair. I definitely enjoyed watching that more than I ever enjoyed watching a single episode of Doomsday Preppers, unless, of course, you're talking about entertainment value. But it was good. I really, really enjoyed it. So, that, like I said, I threw that link up there for you guys. You can check it out if you want to. Nobody has to, but it was kind of cool. So yeah, that, let's see, did I have any? All right, no, I didn't save any questions. If anybody has any other questions, you can throw them up there. That's the end of the Stranger Than Fiction segment for this week. I'm trying to keep the throat going here for you guys. We should have another episode tomorrow evening for sure. But yeah, as far as any other, if you guys, like I said, any questions, throw them out. If not, let's roll into what we have coming up. Like I said, we'll have live stream tomorrow evening. So here's the thing. I rescheduled a couple of interviews because I thought I was going to be in Dallas. So since I didn't have the interviews scheduled, I was going to end up having fill-in episodes there. So now that I don't have those, I'm going to do some sort of episode tomorrow evening. So I'll be here. We'll have a good one. Lord willing, long as the throat holds up, right? Yeah. Letty Lou says you need a hot toddy, Tim. Help out that throat. Well, the bourbon's been helping. Joe said his plan is to go off grid, invest in silver, aquaponics, rabbitry, recycle waste vegetable oil to fuel a mechanical injected diesel vehicle. Nothing wrong with that, man. I've been seeing that a lot lately with the recycled vegetable oil. I actually, when I was down in Tennessee at Tactical Response, there was a guy there who was getting ready to run his vehicle off of straight canola oil. So he was growing canola and he was turning around and running his diesel right off it. So I thought that was really, really cool. And then I talked to another farmer who was into sorghum. And if you guys haven't seen that, I'm going to have him on the show. We'll talk about it because it's a sugar. It's a sugar that is, how do you want to put it? Domestic to the United States. So it's something you can grow here and get sugar out of if you want it. Well, I mean, it's not honey, but it's definitely something. And Jaggy says it helps to get a few people putting a few extra days food in a bug out bag. Then it's better than nothing. But these folks don't plan and prepare. They just store and forget. That is true, my friend. Absolutely true. Okay, guys. I think this is as far as I'm going to make it this evening. I appreciate it. We had a good crew over on Telegram. Love having you guys on Telegram. Thank you. I think Porterhouse is still there. Always good to have. Thank you, somebody, for putting my email in there as well. Appreciate that. Guys, thank you for coming by. It was a great episode. I hope you enjoyed the Stranger Than Fiction segment. For those on the audio only, I'd love to hear some feedback. If you have stories you'd like to submit, we could do this once a week. I kind of enjoy it. There's enough foolishness out there that we can ignore, but there's some good shit that we can learn some lessons from. So anyway, guys, that's it for me this evening. As always, stay happy, stay healthy, and have a great week.